How's it going? Back home here in the TV room. We got some signings today. Finally, Manchester United finally signing some people. A little bit ridiculous, waiting to do this stuff, but it is what it is. Make sure you're following all the Max Features Network all day. Midday Money, Sean Higgs, Noon Eastern, Morning Wood, Ali Burns 1-2, Just Parlays, Chris King 2-3. Back to the window, Scott 3-4. It's me. 4-5, 5-6 game time decisions. We have the bonus here, $1,500 first bet up to. If you win, keep it. If you don't, get it back. Video winners 15. Make sure you're using that. And I'm gonna post this as we welcome in AM Plus Money because I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but I'm the soccer betting genius, and we got AM Plus Money, who's also a genius. And last week on those premium plays out there, 7-0, absolutely demolished it. And baseball, soccer, thing. And now we've been talking about this week for like 2 weeks. We're like, man, we just got to get through like one more week. Now, all of a sudden, we got all kinds of Copa Libertadores and UEFA Champions League and Conference League and friendlies and all kinds of stuff. So we're finally here with some actual, real quality games to pick. Are you excited right now?
Oh, yeah, I'm super excited with this. It's always great now that the leagues are starting up. July is a great month because even though, the big European superpower leagues start in September, you got some of the smaller leagues starting to come back in July and August. So it's always nice to even add that into the mix. So exciting times for sure.
It's crazy this year because of the World Cup. Like, I mean, the FA Community Shield is in it's this month. It's in not even 4 weeks. It's in basically less than 4 weeks now. We're gonna get Manchester City, I guess, against who won Liverpool. They won 2 trophies without scoring a goal. So you're gonna get Manchester City and Liverpool in this Community Shield, but the league starts on August 5th. I mean, it starts a week from. Basically a month from tomorrow. There's going to be a game with Arsenal and Crystal Palace. I mean, if you start looking at the live score here, I mean, it's crazy. You go to next week, and there's some friendlies on the board here for some big time teams. The Champions League qualification is obviously pretty big, but I know Manchester United is playing games. I mean, they already started practicing and training, and all their players are back. But I mean, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of downtime this year. I know it wasn't great because there's no World Cup, but at this point now, I'll take some of these leagues being back. So I think that's probably pretty good. Did you watch any of the USFL championship game?
No, I did not watch any of the USFL. I was not, I wasn't really following that league. It didn't interest me too much. I think I watched the first week of it, and that was about it.
I tried, I was excited a little bit. I thought I was excited. I tried to watch, and then it was just I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest. I don't know if you watch any of the CFL games. I know there's some of those games. Every once in a while, I'll flip through and it's on, and I'll watch it. I like the big field and stuff, but I'm so focused right now, I think, on soccer. I don't even sit down. We were down the beach all weekend, and there were some baseball games on and tennis on and all this other stuff, but I was just kind of not really watching it. And I'm just kind of looking forward to these soccer games. I don't know if you're kind of the same way with that. Soccer's your main sport, right?
Yeah, soccer is definitely my main sport. CFL, I love football, but I love the NFL and college football. I'm not a big fan of the Canadian League. It's too different for me. Every play is a false start in my eyes. So it's hard to follow for me.
They're running forward, they're 3/4 of the way down the field before the ball is snapped. It's so crazy.
That's what I mean, right? And then you got the 3 downs, the bigger ball, the wider field, and it really bothers me that the goalpost is right in front, like it's not at the back as it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
in the NFL and college. It's in the front of the end zone, and I've watched it act as a 12th defenseman many times.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
run
just
kicks through it, right?
yeah. Like I've literally, it's basically how they use it as an extra man on the field. And some guys get lost after the pull. So it's a bad design. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. Plus it's a small league, right? There's only like 9 teams now. There used to be 8. So
It's crazy.
tough.
Like you
I
don't
got
like.
2 teams near me too, which is the funny thing, Hamilton and Toronto. So
Yeah, it's just like so weird when you're just like the Canadian Soccer League doesn't have like 4 goals or like put
I
like
watch the Canadian
an
Premier
extra,
League guy there.
an
Like,
extra goal or something. We have it on. It's on TV. One of the networks here has it. I feel like it's Fox Sports because Fox Soccer Channel or something because they don't have anything else. But so those games are on actually here all the time. Did you?
to me, it can't be the Canadian Premier League because it doesn't have Toronto FC, Montreal, and then the Whitecaps, who would probably be the 3 best teams of that league if they were in it. So, like, is it really a Premier League?
Yeah, it's
Kind of
weird.
like a B league.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you wonder if they're going to just end up merging these when the North American Union comes in or whatever that stuff is. But there's some games. There's games tonight. I mean, they're kicking off these MLS games, pretty late tonight because it's I mean, people got to work tomorrow. It's not like yesterday was the night to be kicking off LA Galaxy and Montreal at 10:30 at night. Like I feel like everybody's gonna go back to work tonight. Nobody's tuning into that, but like I don't know which games did you look at this week? Like which ones you want to talk about first?
Yeah, so I looked at these. Might as well talk about these MLS games tonight since they're tonight. I looked at the Copa Libertadores for the week as well, so
Okay.
plan on touching that.
Yeah, these games today, I looked at them, once again. What I took Dallas as my free play today, and obviously this Austin FC team. I mean, here we are again at plus 370.
I saw a stat
Crazy.
that every time they've been that price this year, around plus 380, they have cashed 40% of the time.
So that's close to plus 380. So you're making money then. I mean, if you bet them every time at plus 380 and they cash 2 out of 5, we'll say. So that's plus what's that? Plus 800. So 8 units, and then you're losing 3 units. So you're plus 5 units right there. That's at plus 3. I know like at plus 2 something, they're like every time they win. I mean, I had them the other day at plus 230, and I actually took them, just to be safe, I took them at minus or plus like 0.25 too. And I mean, they just ended up winning the game. I mean, it's just this team is let's just look at the table here. I mean, I think they're top.
They're the 3rd best team in the MLS
The whole league.
for record. Yeah, for recorded points, they are the 3rd best. And even away from home, they're the 3rd best in the MLS. And I think the 1st or 2nd in the West. So
they're a point behind the Red Bulls right now, and they've played 2 less games. They're a point ahead of the Union and played 1 less game. Like they're playing right now. I mean, they're 9-4-4, 32 goals scored in 17 matches. And they just every single, and this Colorado team is 23rd. I don't get it. I must be missing something here.
So Colorado at home is 5-1-2
because of the altitude, I guess.
Yeah, and they've kept clean sheets in 4 of the last 5 at home. I think they gave up 3 goals in the one match they gave up goals, and it was a 3-1 loss to Nashville. But they've been a really good team at home, winning a lot of 1-0, 2-0 games. So I think that's why the line is like that. But even then, I see the value on Austin FC here just because they're just like Colorado's the 3rd best home team in the MLS. Austin's the 3rd best team in the MLS and 3rd best away from home. So I don't see why at that price they wouldn't have some value on them, even if you just wanted to take them +1 or something like that.
Yeah, and they beat like last year. They lost to the Rapids in September, but they also beat them 3-1 in Colorado. So yeah, I mean, right, you look at the Asian line right here. Austin FC at +1 Asian handicap is -139. I mean, at +0.75 is plus 100, so it's even money for them. And if you basically get a 1-goal loss, because you'll win, you'll lose half your money, but a draw and a win wins you money, and once again, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you're talking about +370, like when they're +220 and they're winning games as the third best team in the league, like you would never see Chelsea at +370 on the road against a team near the bottom of the table at +370. It'll never, unless like in the entire team isn't playing or something like that. It's just not going to happen.
Ridiculous.
It's just really
and if you look at the table too, like really, if you just want to go by wins, throw out the points, throw out the losses and draws, they're tied with a few teams for the second most wins in the MLS with 9. The only team ahead of them, LAFC, at 11. So like, again, it's not like they're getting their points from draws or things like that. They're winning games.
Yeah, I mean, look, once again, like, they beat Charlotte, 1-0 on the road. They tied Dallas in a rivalry game. They beat Montreal 1-0 on the road. They beat LAFC 2-1 on the road. They lost to Real Salt Lake. They beat the Dynamo 2-1 on the road. I mean, this team is really good. They beat DC United 3-2 on the road. They drew with the Earthquakes. I mean, they're a better team on the road, I think. I mean, it's crazy how good this team is, and I still contend. I mean, we say this every week. I just still contend that the books are still not like. I think there's some stuff in it with the altitude. Chris Glorious has, what's up, man? What's up, Chris? Do I like Newell's in Argentina and Pachuca and League X tonight? We can look at that. I don't know if you looked at the Mexican League tonight at all.
I'm waiting. I like to get a few. I like to get maybe like 2 or 3 matches in so I can see a little bit of recent form.
Yeah, that's Bill. We'll look at that. Thanks for checking in, my man Chris over in. I think he's in Cambridge, UK. So thanks for checking in, my man. But yeah, I mean, I just, I think there's a couple ways you could take this, but maybe 0.75 is the safest. Even Austin Pick is +275. So which probably draw no bet is around there. Yeah, draw no bet is 275. So
and that's insane value because that's literally like one of those could easily happen.
I just if Austin wasn't, I mean, we just went down. They win all the time on the road against better teams than this Colorado Rapids. I know it's in Denver, it's at altitude and all this stuff, but this Austin FC team all wins on the road all the time. And look, I'm not. Once again, like, we can't guarantee it's a win. Like, I don't know. I mean, we're just handicapping the game, but to us, we're looking at this saying like, I don't understand. Why is Austin FC at +370? I'm gonna probably bet. I'm not gonna bet a lot on it. I'll probably take, I'll put $20 on Austin FC at +370 because, if it wins, you're clearing back. You're getting $100 back, and then, maybe take a shot on, on the to cover it on the +0.75. And I just, you look at some of these other games in the MLS tonight. Orlando City and DC United, like, they're just, it's not a great game. Like, those teams aren't very good. Orlando's okay. Orlando's like 12th, but the FC Dallas, Inter Miami. Dallas is okay. Inter Miami's not really good. And Galaxy Montreal. I mean, it's a tough game to pick because these teams are both about the same. So, the team that's offering you probably the most value tonight is Austin FC, and it's not even probably close. I mean, would that statement make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Just because of what that line is, like that's unbelievable value on that. Because, like I said, third best team in the MLS. I know Colorado's good at home, but Austin is just as good. There's no reason why the line should be that crazy.
Yeah, it's Chris is watching. You'll never see a top team anywhere in Europe with that kind of odds like that with decent away form. I mean, this team has. Yeah, look, I mean, it's in a way. If it was just if it was one of these other games here, and you're like, okay, like for example, FC Dallas, this game, Dallas and Inter Miami. Inter Miami stinks. I mean, they're not any good. They got a -8 goal difference. I understand why that's like two, and Dallas is just they're in 10th place. They've been playing well. They got a +7 goal difference. I understand it's a home game and stuff like this. This team, Austin FC, right here, third place, playing against the team in 23rd, 23rd out of 28 teams. They have, 5 wins, 4 losses, 7 draws. They are good at home. They're terrible on the road. But you're not going to get value like that on any game like this at all this week. So, once again, we're not saying they're guaranteed to win, but as someone who's looking for value and betting, I mean, there's multiple ways you could probably bet this game to offer yourself some value and maybe win something, even if they draw or if they lose by a goal. I mean, you could probably do something like that. But any of these other games interest you here?
Yeah, so the Orlando one I was looking at possibly to the team total for Orlando -1.5. I believe it's at -120, right around that line
Yeah,
there.
about 120 over 1.5 -120.
But yeah, this DC team, they are literally in last place. They only have 14 points this year, 9 losses. They are just terrible. They're pretty bad on the road as well. I don't see their defense has really been bad lately. Like they have been allowing, I think, almost close to 3 goals per match in their last few. So this is a team that just they're allowing a ton of goals. I could see Orlando scoring 2 on them here. Wouldn't shock me. Orlando's not great, but they're not awful either, and they're a much better team when they're playing at home. So I feel like that's one where they should be able to just score goals on this bad DC defense.
Yeah, you look and it just outside of this, Chicago beat them 1-0, Nashville beat them 3-1 in DC, Red Bulls 4-1. Toronto FC scored 2 goals, 2-2. New York City FC 2-0. Inter Miami 2. I mean, there's some bad teams scoring.
Yeah, Toronto FC who just got shut out twice at home.
Exactly. Yes, there's some bad teams scoring more than 2, and Orlando's going to be playing at home. So yeah, look, if you can get this here at where it is -120 over 1.5 goals, I think that's interesting. I was talking to my guy Blake last night, and what he's going to come on at some point. He's got this strategy, for the first half, where he does total goals for the first half, like over a half a goal. So here it's like -335. Now what he does is he waits a little bit. If it's maybe sees they're a lot attacking, and then waits to see the live play. Maybe it goes down to whatever, and then does it. But he says he's been kind of doing something like that, cashing. But you maybe Orlando City to score in the first half -137, decent odds. But I think maybe more value on the other game, or sorry, the other way to bet it. Anything on the Dallas, Inter Miami, and Galaxy Montreal?
So the Dallas one, I would lean to Dallas. I really think they're going to win that one at home. They haven't been great lately, but Miami's been in worse form, and Dallas does have majority of their wins at home this year. So I would say Dallas wins that one, but that line is way too juiced, and I don't feel comfortable playing them on the -1 because they might just win by 1 goal. But I think that's one Dallas should win on the money line.
Yeah, yep. And then even on once again over 1.5 goals here at -167, it doesn't really offer you a lot of value. Like maybe you put in a parlay or something, but and then the other game, I just
The other game, I see a bit of value, just like Austin FC. I know I said I didn't believe in this Montreal team, but with the way they're playing right now versus the way the Galaxy have been in their last few matches, I almost see value in Montreal here just because I don't think they should be plus 300.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the table again. I mean, Montreal is right here. I mean, they're fifth. They've been really good. They had, once again, 9 wins. They don't draw a lot. 32 goals scored, 29 goals allowed. They score a lot of goals, and goals obviously win games. So, Galaxy, I don't even know where they are. They're not great. They're around 500. They're like, these 7 wins, 3 draws, 6 losses, +1 goal difference. Yeah, it's an interesting line. I don't.
Yeah, and they just got 2 red cards in their last match at home. Lost that one 3-2 to Minnesota, who also got a red card. They lost a cup match to Sacramento at home before that. Like, I know it's a cup match and you might not be trying, but I feel like Sacramento, especially since that's in your own state, you gotta beat that team in a cup match. Like, come on. And then, like a tie 1-1 with the Timbers. Like, that's been their last 3 at home.
Yeah, and you look here, I mean, over 1.5 goals for Montreal is plus 170 in this game. Like, that's, to me, once again, the total goals here, they're giving you over 3.5 and under 3.5, right? Because over 2.5 is going to be crazy juiced, minus 195. So if they're telling me it's over 2.5 goals is minus 195, right? But then Montreal's team total over 1.5 is plus 170. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's basically like trying to tell me that it's going to be like, 2-1 or 3-1 to Galaxy, but the Montreal scores goals like crazy. So, over 1.5 goals for Montreal right here, plus 170 looks like pretty decent value.
Yeah, and especially since, I know they played a lot of home matches recently. I did touch on that, I think, in the last show I made an appearance on. But at the same time, they're coming off a pretty good win in Seattle against a good Seattle team that is the CONCACAF champions this year. So you got to give them a little bit of respect. Just, I think, in that nature. Like I said, I still don't think Montreal is going to be one of the top teams in the MLS at the end of the year when all is said and done. But I definitely think with the way the Galaxy have been lately, and they're not even playing that great at home, you got to give a little respect to Montreal. Like, just plus 300 seems out of whack for that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm going to maybe say something crazy here, but I want to look at something. I might just see I want to see what this parlay pays.
Little Austin Montreal parlay.
Austin Montreal parlay pays plus 1750. So, for 2 teams,
even $10 on that.
Once again, I mean, yeah, $10 pays almost 176. Back. To me, look, I don't know. Both those teams could get swung, but once again, like Austin FC is good. Like these teams, like that might be worth a couple bucks. Throw $10 down. Like, I'm not trying to tell you to throw down like 50 quid for our guys over in UK watching or whatever. But look, I mean, that's probably worth a few bucks. Put some money down on that, and then just play them straight, and then maybe once again, I mean, this Montreal at plus 295, which means when I go to their Asian line, minus, plus 0.75 is minus 121, plus 0.5, which means you get the draw, and so double chance here, basically. Let's see what the double chance is. It's going to be plus 105 or something like that. Double chance plus 105. I mean, look, once again, I mean, that's a pretty decent play right there. I know Montreal doesn't really beat the Galaxy very often, but these the last time they played was in 2019, so these stats don't really mean much to me. So I think there's actually some, the weekend was tough. I'm a favorite guy. I bet favorites, but I actually do think there's some value tonight in some of these underdog plays, and I think it's pretty interesting here. So
yeah, well, there's money to be made. Like I mentioned on the last show I was on, that LAFC struggled in Vancouver, and that's exactly what we saw. A 0-0 draw turned into a late 1-0 winner with the 89th minute goal. So there's money to be made for sure in the MLS if you find the right spot. And I think definitely Austin and Montreal both have value at those lines, just considering how bad the Galaxy have been, how good Montreal's been, and then vice versa, how good Austin has been on the road, and just as a team in general versus how bad Colorado's been. They've been good at home, but they're still a bad team in general.
Bill was asking about this Newell's old boys game against Patronato de Prana. Newell's is minus 120-ish right here. Just looking at the table, Newell's is unbeaten in 5 matches. They've only allowed 1 goal in 5 matches, a +5 goal difference, which is pretty interesting. And then Patrona de Prana is 2-1-2. They've allowed 7 goals. So, yeah, Bill, look, I mean, just kind of looking at the numbers and not really diving deep into the game. I mean, that probably offers you some pretty decent value there on that game tonight at 6:00. So I might take a shot on that. I mean, when you're trying to look for stuff like quickly, I mean, you just is that kind of what you do? Like goal difference, kind of early in the season. I know like it's tough because head to head doesn't really go into it as much. It's real early. I just kind of maybe trying to look at form. Like if a team is played 5 games, only allowed 1 goal, is that something maybe you look at there?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see the value on them, starting off with 4 wins, 1 draw. And that's the big thing that stands out to me is not a single goal in their last 4 matches. So obviously this team is playing great on defense, and even if they have a bad offensive game, they're not going to give up goals just that easily. So that always gives them a chance to win because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
this other team, I think, and this other team, I think they've lost 2 of their last 4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think, yeah, Bill, I would probably take a shot there. The other game is Pachuca here. The odds are a little bit, it's minus 160. So it's about let me see if I can pull up the next.
And the team Newell's is playing on the road. They've been they're 0-2 this year with 1 goal and 5 goals against. So absolutely, I think that's probably a great line. I'm actually seeing minus 110 for it, so that might be something I got to jump on too.
Yeah, yep. Chris says I always go over 1.5 goal first half goals in Argentina. Great odds, and often if one goes in, another follows in the same half. So yeah, it's I think some of the Chris plus money here is one of our South American guys, and sometimes Foxy comes on, who's an English guy who's living down there in South America. But yeah, I think you can find some value in some of these leagues. I know some of the guys from the UK that I talked to are, they bet the ACAs on, the English leagues and stuff, and maybe don't dive as much into the South American leagues. But yeah, there's definitely some value here, which brings us to our Copa Libertadores second legs. So yeah, Bill said he parlayed Pachuca and Newell's, so that's probably some decent money there. I'm gonna play pretty well. So we got 2 matches we got 3 matches Tuesday, 4 matches Wednesday, and 1 Thursday. So basically the same schedule as last week. I have to pull up do you know the aggregate on these?
I think I can pretty much remember. I know Monero had the 1-1 draw.
I'll pull it up here. Here we got the aggregate. This is, what, I will say this. Google always, you go and you find these things here, and it's like, round 16 leg. Sometimes you want to go and look for this stuff, and it's just like, it tells you the aggregate everywhere. Aggregate right at the top. You don't even have to go searching. Monero is 1-1 after that game. That's one of the games we got burned on. Boca Corinthians. Which ones are Boca Corinthians and Libertad and Pernense. And Atletico Pernense won 2-1 going to Libertad. So which games are you focusing in on here on Tuesday?
So I kind of liked all three of those Tuesday games. Starting with the first one, the Atletico Mineiro, it's tough to find value on that. I was thinking maybe just to take them on the -1.5. I know that they've been a little shaky lately, but I think they've put themselves in a position where they got to try in this one because they're
Yeah.
obviously with the 1-1 draw. They have to get a win here. They're at home. You're playing a team that's last match was against you last week, and before that it was back in May. So like even then, you've only played one match in like 2 months now. Can't be that in form. They caught a little break at home because I thought Atletico MG they had some chances to extend that 1-0 lead in the first half. Then they died down in the second half, got that red card after the penalty, which kind of screwed them. And they still had a chance with the penalty
They
late.
should have won the game.
I know. They still had a chance to win that.
Oh, that was crazy. You can't miss it. You got a chance in a game like that. You got to bear your penalty. You can't be missing penalty.
Yeah, and even in the next game that we're probably going to talk about, like again, Corinthians squandered their chance to get a 1-0 lead out of that one, and now I don't know how good their chances look going back into Argentina for the next leg. But yeah, I'm thinking with this first one, the Atletico MG, I'm almost thinking maybe the -1.5 because they got to come out here. They should be able to score some early goals, maybe. That over 1.5 in the first half might be something to look at too, just because they should come out strong in this first half. And I would think if they want to rest some players in the second half, you'd want to get a big lead. This is a team that they can do it against. They've only played the one match and they don't play in a strong league. They're from Ecuador. So like the competition they face isn't that strong. And even then they haven't really played that often. They've just been training and practicing for the last 2 months besides that first leg. So I think this is one Atletico Mineiro's got to come out and show everybody, why they're so good.
Yeah, I think, and once again, the line that offers probably the most value here is 1.5. And you just going with 2 because even at, 1.5 goals for them is going to be high. It's -230, so that doesn't really offer you a lot of value. The Sudamericana, the Boca Juniors Corinthians, Boca Juniors 0-0, and Boca Juniors right now +102 at home in the 8:30 match. I know you talked about Corinthians a little bit. You leaning Boca Juniors here?
Yeah, so I don't know what to think of this one because I thought for sure the Corinthians would win that first leg, and they ended up not even they did. They had the chance to get the penalty kick before half, but other than that, like the possession was pretty even, and they really didn't exert any dominance over Boca Juniors in that game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But I think a play I really like is Boca to keep a clean sheet because they already showed, coming off that 0-0 draw in that last leg, they showed that they can go on the road and play really good defense to bring it back home and gives themselves a chance where they just need a 1-goal win. And the Corinthians have not been good on the road lately. If you look, they haven't scored a goal in general in their last 3 matches. And I think on the road here, just give me 1 sec. Yeah, so they lost their last on the road 4-0. They tied. No, sorry. They tied 1-1 before that, but then they lost 1-0 before that. So that's been their last 3 on the road. They're not scoring a lot on the road, and they're not scoring in general with no goals in their last 3 matches. Sorry, not 4. But yeah, this is a team that they're struggling to score, and with the way Boca played defense, I think to keep a clean sheet, you're getting it at plus money. So I think there's some value in there for sure because Boca is going to come and play defense at least.
Yeah, you get Boca Juniors +105, +110 to keep a clean sheet, and Boca win to nil is +190. So if you think they're going to win the match at home and keep a clean sheet, you get almost 2-1, which is pretty, obviously pretty good odds there. And then going back to this. Libertad and Paranense. Paranense at +255. Obviously, Libertad has to overturn a 2-1 deficit here. Any kind of play on this game?
Yeah, so this one I was kind of leaning to the under. Now the under's a little juiced, but I expect this one to be more of a defensive match because even though the last one was 2-1 in that first leg, when they played each other back in the group stage a few months ago, it was a 2-0 win and a 1-0 win for the home side in both times. And personally, like Atletico PR, I think they're just a better team. They're coming off of a big 2-0 win against Palmeiras. So that was a pretty impressive performance. They didn't really play that well. They got dominated in possession, but they still managed to squeak out the win. And their goaltender was amazing in that match. He made 7 big saves to keep that a 2-0 win for them. So I think the play I was looking at for this one, I was leaning to the under, but there was another one. I had it right
I think it
here.
would be interesting here if PR scores first in this game, and they take a 3-1 lead on aggregate. I think it's definitely an under. Like I think they'll shut it down at that point, and really just try to, Libertad only won the first game 1-0 this year in at home, and then Paranaense beat them 2-0 a month later in the group stage. So that's pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, and so the other play I was actually looking at mainly for the value was I was actually looking at Atletico PR to keep a clean sheet at plus 275. I just think that's a ridiculous number considering that they can play good defense. They kept Palmeiras out of the net for 90 minutes in their last match, and it was a sandwich match for them too between two Copa Libertadores. So maybe Palmeiras wasn't trying that hard, but Palmeiras also had a 3-0 lead on aggregate in their
Yeah.
match. So there was no reason why they couldn't come out and try to win that. So I think this Atletico PR, like they don't really need a goal here. If they can come out with a 0-0 draw, I think they're happy with that. And like you said, if they get out, score an early goal, I think for sure they're going to just put the defense on. And at that price, the plus 275, I think there's a lot of value on that, considering back in their first match in the group stage when they played in Libertad, Libertad won 1-0 on an earlier goal in the match, but they were dominated in possession in that match. If you look, Atletico PR actually had over 65% of the possession in that match, and they missed a penalty late in the game that could have came out with a 1-1 draw in that match. So I definitely think that they can play defense for sure, and I think this Libertad team, obviously they're good in their country, Paraguay, but I don't think they match up well against PR, and I think PR is going to make it hard on them to score a goal.
Did you look at any of the Wednesday games for Libertadores?
Yes, I looked at all the games except for the Thursday one.
Yeah,
The Wednesday games I didn't like as much. Like this
I don't.
Palmeiras match, I don't know what to do with it so
Yeah,
much.
it's just. I mean, they're up 3-0, and you got to lay. Man, like they should. These games in the Champions League, they bother me because if it was in a vacuum, I would hammer Palmeiras at -1.5. But like they don't, they don't need any goals. They could just sit back and whatever, play on the counter, do whatever, and then get a goal. I mean, in theory, they won 3-0 on away from home. So like you think they would win, big here, but you just don't know. I mean, they could be saving some players for the weekend or whatever. Maybe they play like a mixed squad because of this draw is basically over here. So I find these games really tough to play. I would say like Palmeiras, -1.5, but once again, I probably wouldn't take them. The over 2.5 goals is a decent value, but I just don't know if they're going to score 2.5 goals in this or 3 goals because they could just score a goal and just say the tie's over and we're just going to relax.
Yeah, so one way I was looking at it to play is possibly maybe Palmeiras to keep a clean sheet. No, just because it's at plus 120, and Portinho has to obviously come to play. You're down 3 goals. They're going to somewhat be pushing their attack, and it's even better for them if Palmeiras just tries to sit on defense and not add to the lead because letting in a slip-up goal or a fluke goal really means nothing to Palmeiras if they're just going to dominate them anyway. But in that sense, I also like them because if you look at Palmeiras, they have been the first to concede a goal, I think, in 4 of their last 5 matches now. I just need to
Foxy
check the
says
accuracy here.
Foxy says Libertad sold Wonder Kid and Cisco to Brighton. He's not sure Roque Santa Cruz can still perform at 40, but he's going to back him because he wants all the Brazilian clubs out. So, but yeah, look, it's a tough, it's a tough game at a tough spot. I mean, Cerro Porteño could come out and play unbelievably and, win the game 2-1 and still lose, by 2 goals on aggregate. So it's just, that's I think goes to your thing where total goals over half a goal plus 130 here is probably the way to go with not a clean, keeping not a clean sheet here.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. Yeah, they were actually Palmeiras was the first to concede in 5 of their last 6 matches, and they lost after the first half in 4 of their last 5. So they're a team that's been, they've been known to slip up in their recent matches in that sense, and especially in a match where you already have a 3-0 aggregate, and I question your motivation to come and start your strongest players and play at your highest level. I could see Portinho getting a goal in the 90 minutes, so that's why the value I see on that is at the plus 120 to keep a clean sheet. No.
Any of these other games at all interest you? I think I'd probably stay away from the 6:15, the other 6:15 one, the Cologne to Santa Fe. But I don't know if that Flamengo and then River played against Vélez Sarsfield with, let's see, River Plate trails 1-0 there. Cologne and Polaris are 1-1. Flamengo 1-0 up. Flamengo's up 1-0 coming home. I don't know if any of those games.
Yeah, so I gotta. I'm back on Flamengo now. They're they've won 3 straight. I think they're starting to get into form. They ruined my draw in their last match in their last legs, or the first leg. I had the Tolima, I think, double chance or whatever. Yeah. But that was still a close one. And again, I was on them and Santos draw, and that was, again, a close one because Santos tied it up, and then they couldn't even keep the lead for like more than 10 minutes, and Flamengo scored. So I just think maybe Flamengo's starting to really get into form. There's not a lot of value on this game. The money line being minus 200, I would like to play Flamengo. Maybe that might be something I wait and bet live because I think they're going to want to add on to that 1-0 lead. 1-0 is a very scary lead in soccer.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's I'd have to take Flamengo there. The other one makes me a little weary, like the River Plate. I see why the line is as high as it is, but Sarsfield beat them 1-0. And if you look at the history between these two, because those are 2 Argentinian teams, they play each other a lot, and
they're tight. They're tight games, man.
It's not River Plate heavy, I'll tell you that much. So I'm not ready to believe that River Plate's going to come in and dominate them just because they're at home when these teams have a lot of history together.
Yeah, these are tough games to play because, I mean, once again, when we talk about the Champions League in Europe, you can't play your country protected and your group protected in the round of 16. Here, it's like wide open. So, this is a tough game to call. I would probably just, River Plate has to win, obviously, but I could easily see, Sarsfield, getting a draw here, and right now, team to go through, it's basically even. It's a toss up. River Plate minus 118, Sarsfield minus 112. So it's toss up here. So, to me, maybe Sarsfield, their draw is plus 160. I mean, that's pretty decent odds. So I probably would just back away from this game, to be honest.
Yeah, and the fact that Sarsfield is like a plus 550 on the road in general, like these teams play each other all the time. There's really, and like I said, it's not heavy in the direction of River Plate. It's not like they've won the last 7 straight matches convincingly, and you can say, oh yeah, River Plate at home here, even though it's Copa Libertadores, they're going to come out and win like they always dominate them. No, that's not the case. And especially in a competition like this, they play in the same country, which really makes me weary. And on top of that, they're going to be trying in this because this is the more, this is the better competition. I was going to say the more, can't find the word, but the one they want to play in and the one they want to win more. So that, I just think the motivation, like you can't count Sarsfield out, and plus 550 is a ridiculous line for them. So I'm on your side with maybe the double chance for Sarsfield in that one, just because I don't think River Plate played that special.
Yeah, Foxy says he's going to wait to see if Alvarez plays for River or returns to Manchester City. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Did you look at the Champions League games at all for Tuesday, or not really?
I did not look at them, but we can definitely talk about them.
I just wanted to. So tomorrow is, and the games are early. So listen, it's not like, well, it's like a regular Champions League group stage, I guess. There's, it's because depending on where the games are, Punic is, I don't even know. Man, I would guess somewhere in. Oh, Armenia. Okay. So I wouldn't have guessed Armenia. So CFR Cluj. With these games, look, I'm gonna go. Punic could be for good, man. They won the Armenian Premier League last year, so that's why they're in the Champions League qualification. I know CFR Cluj is usually pretty good. They're a Champions League team. They win games in the Champions League on a regular basis here. Malmo obviously playing Vikinger, who just struggled to get out of that preliminary thing. Malmo's like a heavy favorite here. Ludogorets, obviously another team that's always very good, minus 590 at home. And then some of these other teams, it's just, Lech Poznan and Karabakh, both teams usually pretty good. So, for me, I'm looking at these, Lincoln Red Imps, who actually played really well in Europe last year in the Conference League. They got in and really small team. I think they're from Gibraltar. But I was just kind of looking at some of these early games here and, maybe going to I might put Cluj money line in a parlay and just not really kind of basically what I'm doing is, maybe I'll go -1 Malmo at plus 375 or minus 375. Sorry. I want to give it to that. That's -108. And you could probably even go a little, you might even be able to kind of say, we'll go -1.5, get it down to -159. And then, how else is this? Ludogorets, maybe, I don't know, we'll go -1. We'll go -1.5. And you could get, a parlay right there, plus 287 on, basically probably the 3 best teams in the first in this thing. I would, for me, I would probably say Ludogorets, Cluj, Malmo. Maybe one of these Karabakh or Poznan is tough, but I don't know. I mean, is that something? I know I do that sometimes with football or for college football. Foxy, Cluj, Malmo, Bodo Glimt, Sheriff, Frank Veros are the well-known clubs that usually make at least the qualifying rounds. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm trying to find these teams because they're probably going to win. Is that kind of a stretch? If you don't really know a lot about like some of these other teams, are you trying to find the big names in these early stages?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if I were to play a parlay, you touched on the 3 teams I would hit right there. Cluj, like that's a team you see them in the Champions League, like they go all the way. So, and the fact that, minus 223 on the road, like I get they're on the road, but I'm sure that this is a team that they're probably going to win both legs of the match. And then Malmo and Ludogorets, those are top of the top in their countries. So the Lech Poznan Karabakh, I might just look into later just because of the line there. There might definitely be some value in a single play there. But you touched definitely on the three teams I would have played. And then
and the thing too is like even if you say I don't even want to mess with the -1.5 or whatever. I just want to say Cluj, Malmo, Ludogorets money line. It still pays plus 112, which obviously is not plus 287, but it's still plus money. So I mean, if you're trying, hey, I'm going to throw $50 on, $40 on this thing and not have to work, and the parlay's done by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I think I do know, I know Vilnius, Zalgiris, Vilnius, and the new Saints. You do hear some of these teams, Linfield, some of these small teams from Northern Ireland, obviously Linfield, and Shamrock Rovers from Ireland against Hibernians FC. But I just don't those. The other, I know Wednesday, Ferencváros. Ferencváros obviously a good team, only -112 on the road. So, and Bodo Glimt. I mean, you see them at -1250. So, some interesting games on Wednesday as well. Sheriff, obviously with the win over Real Madrid 2 years ago. Maribor, good team as well. Slovan Bratislava. So Wednesday, there's some pretty interesting games as well. I mean, so you could probably, even throw in, if you want to make a little bit bigger money here, throw Slovan Bratislava or obviously you're not going to throw Bodo Glimt in there at -1250, but maybe you throw Bodo Glimt. Maybe you go to they won't even let you go lower than -1.75. So that pays plus 200, adding in Bodo Glimt at -1.75. But these are the games, when we've been talking for 2 weeks to people on here about, Sheriff beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in the group stage last season. Did they beat them last season or was it 2 years ago? I can't even remember. If they beat them last season.
I think it was last season.
That's crazy. Yeah, they beat the European champions and they played well against them in the set. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But these are some, there's some quality teams coming in. If I want to kind of, let me get rid of this parlay. But, if you want to take a shot here on some team, this Ferencváros team is pretty good. At -112, I mean, that's some pretty decent value on a game on its own. So there are some games here and some teams that are pretty good that come into this and you can find some value in. So, I'm just basically, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not, some of these things I'm not thinking too much about. I'm not putting in a lot of research and saying, I got to break down the XG for every game for the last, six seasons and stuff like this. I just know Ferencváros is good and they play well against good teams in Europe all the time. I know, this, like you said, this Karabakh, Lech Poznan, those two teams are both pretty good. And they're usually pretty successful in whatever European competition they're in. Ludogorets, whatever it is. So there are some games here, especially on Wednesday. Sheriff plus 105 here. That parlay with Sheriff and Ferencváros plays almost plus 300. So there is definitely some value on Wednesday.
Even Slovan Bratislava looks a little off to me. Like they're playing at home and the line is that cheap. That
they're pretty good.
Sense to me.
They're pretty good. Once again, I will contend all the time that I just don't think these books know how to properly do this stuff early in the contest because these teams aren't, they're not on TV. They're not on, you don't know who the players are, but if you follow the game and if you're you watch every single if you got the Champions League, it's like the red zone and stuff. You're like, oh, Shakhtar Soligorsk goal, and I know Shakhtar Soligorsk is from Belarus because I was writing about them during the pandemic. Every week I was writing about them and the sluts. and stuff like
I actually remember that team.
Yeah,
I used to make fun of it.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
lose.
yeah. There's some, some of these teams are pretty good, and you can get some value on these games. I, I feel more confident betting these games than I do MLS games because I just think the MLS, like you see these weird lines, and it's just like, man, why is this line like it doesn't make sense to me? Like, more of these lines like it makes sense because at least you're playing like, you know, Sheriff's playing the team that's probably the champion of their league. So at least they're, you're playing a champion. So there's something, it's not like Austin FC playing a team that's in 25th out of 28. So, but I think there's a lot of value in these games. There's also some, or is it conference? The conference league is, so there's 2 conference league games Tuesday, and then there's things. But once again, these are like really small. There's, Escalades again. I don't know what's going on here. The Athletic Club de Escalades, they play like every week in a different European competition. So not staying away from those, but they're definitely with some of these games here. And then next week, obviously, will be the second legs, and then there's a little bit of a break, and then I think it's like a 2-week break, and then the second round comes in, and those teams that come in are a little bit better. So there's definitely some pretty good teams coming in, and I think you could win some value. So you're gonna take a look at that Poznan Karabag game tonight.
Yeah, I probably will take a look at that. That looks interesting.
I think this new Saints game is interesting too tomorrow because the new TNS, I feel like they're Wales. Linfield, I feel like is Northern Ireland, but there are some. I know Shamrock Rovers is playing. I don't even know where Hibernians FC Paola is from, but I know some of these teams are half decent. I've watched them play in the Europa Conference League last summer. I remember I was down the shore, where just down in North Wildwood, and all the it was like July and August, and I like there's nothing to do during the day. I mean, you could go to the beach, but I don't like to go to the beach every day when I'm down there. There's all those guys. I had my Fire Stick on, and while everything was going on during the day, I'm just sitting there watching some games and getting some work done. So definitely some interesting games there. So all right. So that's pretty much it. The odds are all over the place, Foxy said, and they have no idea who's being signed or sold for these clubs. Some small European team leagues start different times of year compared to the big leagues. Yeah, I think that's some of it. And I just think, the books sometimes you just don't know how to quantify like how good some of these teams are. And look, here's the thing. This is the first round. So, by the time Ferencváros gets to the third round, people start to know they're good. You got to get them now. You got to get some of these teams now before they get there when there's actual value on them. So see if you can get that. All right. So basically, and then we have all the Champions League guides. So I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Remember, you got the promo code here for Caesars up to $1,500. Video winners 15. And you could also go on there, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. You could always go on there, and there's my winners and whiners page. I talk about all this stuff. I have promo codes, 50% off premium play. I think I went through last week unbeaten, 7 in a row, and I'm leading the board. So I'm a brand new guy on the scene, on the page, and I'm leading the board. So I got to tell these other guys, man, to get on it and get with it, and start picking soccer games. So, all right, and then you'll be back on Thursday to talk a little. What do we got this weekend? Got anything good?
Just MLS, I guess.
Brazil obviously has got
Brazil.
Between now and Thursday, the Brazilian League's going to play 3 rounds of games, and they're also going to play some Copa Libertadores. So there's always games in Brazil. Don't worry about that. So that will
every day.
That will fill the day. If there's not a game in the league, there's a cup game or there's a thing. They find places to put games. That's for sure.
And if there isn't a game, they'll find a way to schedule one.
Yeah, they'll make a hey Manchester United, come down and play us or something like that. They will find a game to play. So all right. So I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. And Plus Money will be back on Thursday at the same time. So keep watching and head over to, make sure you're following him on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. If you have any questions about any of these games, listen, just reach out. Just send us a direct message. Say, hey, listen, I do like this game tonight. I don't know. What do you think or whatever? You just reach out to us and we're always on. So. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell and do all that stuff.